So continuing with the stagnation in the Pokemon market, Sword and Shield booster boxes are not going up. In fact, the Sword and Shield booster box market, pretty much everything's going down. In value, we're seeing slight declines, nothing crazy. We're not seeing 50% declines, but we are seeing anywhere from 10, 20, even 30% declines with some of these booster boxes, and that's what I'm going to be showing you guys in this video. I still believe there's great opportunity buying Sword and Shield booster boxes, especially now more than ever when things are starting to see slight declines and they've already dropped some by $100+. I think it's just a great opportunity to buy. But yeah, a lot of these Sword and Shield booster boxes are hitting a lot of recent, I guess you can say, lows. Not really all-time lows. It's hard to say that, but in terms of recent history, within the past like maybe 6 months, they're hitting lows here. So it could just be another great opportunity to pick them up. But I wanted to update you guys to show you guys what's been going on with Sword and Shield booster boxes, especially recently. What's been going on? It does follow the trend of things. Stagnating and seeing declines. Sword and Shield definitely is seeing a lot more decline than Scarlet and Violet. There are a few examples of Scarlet and Violet products going down in value. For example, Surging Sparks, Deaths and Rivals. But Deaths and Rivals, the reason being I guess a reprint on Pokemon Center, the drop. Surging Sparks just I guess naturally is going down. But other than that, most things in Scarlet and Violet has been more stable than Sword and Shield. Just because Scarlet and Violet is more, I guess, relevant than Sword and Shield. So therefore, Sword and Shield has been going down more. Plus, sales volume for Sword and Shield stuff is not as high. So if more people list, there's just more supply out there compared to demand compared to Scarlet and Violet. So Sword and Shield, I always revisit talking about Sword and Shield here and there, especially now that they've gone down even more since the last time I've talked about some of these boxes. Want to show you guys there's some great opportunities here to pick some boxes up. So first here is Chilling Reign. They're officially now under $500. These ran up to $600 not too long ago, so they've dropped about $100. So what is that, like a 15 to 20% drop from where it was at $600? So pretty good drop. And this, for pretty much all of these, are just a great opportunity to buy. And these are from reputable sellers on TCG Player. So if any of these are cheapest on TCG Player, you just want to make sure you're buying from a reputable seller, not like a tiny seller, but you can buy them for now under $500. If you look on eBay, it looks like your best bet is going to be TCG Player, but hey, if you want to spend another $10, $20 more to buy on eBay, maybe it's a really minty box, maybe worth it, but there are some people listing here in the very low 500s. Now next here, it's maybe a surprising one. Even Evolving Skies has gone down a little bit. At one point, this did have a run up to about 2,800, $3,000. Like, it was up there on eBay. You couldn't really find them for mid 2000s. TCG Player lowest listed was like 2,800, $3K. And now they're back down to sub $2,500 because on TCG Player you can see lowest listed here is 2,500, but you can't buy them for cheaper on eBay. If you go on eBay, you can find these anywhere from $2,300 to $2,400. So you can save a little bit of money here if you bought them, I guess, when they're 3K. I mean, you obviously pay a little bit more, $400 to like $600 more. Yeah, you can get a pretty big discount here on Evolving Skies. Since it's ran up that one time to about like 3K. You can now find them pretty readily available from multiple sellers for about $2,400. Evolving Skies at $2,400. I've said this about Evolving Skies for the longest time now. Evolving Skies is one of those things where, okay, yes, it's expensive, but you have to think about, okay, where this is going to be in like 3 years from now. I think 2,400 still is an investable price point. I know that sounds crazy, but I truly think it's still an investable price point. I think until this goes past like 5K, I'll probably stop saying it, but 2,400 I still think is investable, because can I see this in 3-4 years possibly being like above $5,000? Yeah, I see that happening. So therefore, if you can double your money in a few, like 3 years, I mean, that's still great. And Evolving Skies obviously being so popular as it is, and out of print, it's a pretty safe investment. But you are buying at a higher price point. You could be buying multiples of other boxes. That's all true. But in terms of a safe longer term investment, I think Evolving Skies is still an investable price point, especially now if you can buy them for $2,300, $2,400. I think that's pretty good. And now, especially the Sword and Shield booster box market is not really doing that great. You may be able to find some deals here, maybe locally, and buying Evolving Skies at this price point when it's dropped, hundreds of dollars. I think it's a great time to take advantage of. Now, next here, kind of surprising, maybe not. Fusion Strike at one point was about $1,050. You can buy it now for $900. You can see recent sale $900, and from a reputable seller here, $900. So you can see, Fusion Strike, even all these more high flying sets like Evolving Skies, they're taking hits, and this has dropped then about 10%. So just another opportunity. If you want Fusion Strike, you can buy for 900. If you go on eBay, most of them are about 1,000 plus, but there are a couple boxes here that are about $900. So you guys can try to find maybe some clean boxes, but Fusion Strike is more towards like 1,000. It hasn't dropped as much, but there are still some opportunities to buy them for a little bit under 1,000. Now next here, Brilliant Stars. This recently ran up to about $550, $600. Now it's gone all the way back down to sub 500. So you can see most of these have seen about a 10 to 15% drop. There's multiples available on TCG Player. Now if you go on eBay, you're pretty much just paying TCG Player a little bit more. Some of these are German. This one has damage. So a lot of these boxes are about like 500. So you're pretty much paying the same price or a little bit more on eBay. Now next here, just Astral Radiance. I mean, there's not much to talk about here. You guys can just look at like the sales volume here. I mean, Astral is one of those boxes. I mean, if it was gonna pop off at any point in time, I think it would have happened by now. I've never been a huge advocate for investing in an Astral. It's just more of a lower tier set. It's like a decent set. It has some stuff in it that's like I guess somewhat popular, but it just isn't that high in demand. Therefore, it's dropped a little bit since it's ran up. I think it ran up to about 500. Now it's at 450, so I guess it hasn't dropped that much, still about like 10%. But Astral Radiance, just the sales volume really isn't there, and it's seen a pretty major fall off, and it actually has gone down a little bit more than what you see here on TCG Player, because on eBay you can buy them for $400. So yeah, Astral Radiance is pretty cheap. So you can buy them if you want, but Astral is definitely not my biggest and top pick for investing in Sword and Shield boxes. I think there's plenty of better options, but it is now pretty much sub 400. Yeah, it's pretty cheap now. Next here, Lost Origin. Lost Origin peaked at about $900. Now it is $750. It's dropped $150, so that is about a closer to 20% drop. Lost Origin is one of those boxes I've talked about being one of my top picks for the recent decline we've seen in prices. I truly believe Lost Origin at $750 is very attractive in the long term. Lost Origin, the Giratina, the famous or the very popular artist, who made the artwork. At $750, I see this, the Pikachu's and the Aerodactyl. I see this being one of the best opportunities right now for Sword and Shield booster boxes, paying a couple $100 more compared to chilling. I really think this is a great buying opportunity from where it was previously at $900, now down to $750. If you go on eBay, they're about the same price at $750. Now, lastly here, Silver Tempest. This has actually seen a pretty big drop since it ran up. It was running up, and you don't really see it here. But if you actually sign into TCG Player, I checked, before making this video, it was selling for about $550, and it ran up to I think almost $600. Now it is sub 500. So in a very short period of time, a lot of these have dropped 10, 15, 20%. If you go on eBay, you're not really going to find it that much cheaper here. It's pretty much the same price basically with all of these, booster boxes. So I just want to show you guys that yes, the market is seeing a decline, it's seeing a stagnation, but it is what it is. But you shouldn't really see this as a negative thing. If you were trying to invest, trying to buy, this is the time to buy. Literally every single time there's been a downturn in this market, it's been probably a pretty good decision to buy. And if you're a new investor and you're trying to get into Sword and Shield, picking up when people aren't investing and you're picking them up at a 10 to 20% discount from what they were at previously a couple months ago is probably a pretty good opportunity to buy in. And you gotta think about it this way too. A lot of these boxes are not, it's not like, oh, there's a reprint coming, they're out of print. So seeing 10-20% declines, especially some of these really good sets, Lost Origin, even Evolving Skies, any of these other ones really, it's probably pretty good to take advantage of them, because how much lower are they really going to drop being out of print? Something to think about. So just want to share this with you all because they have been dropping in price a lot more than the last time since the last time I made the last video about Sword and Shield. So just want to do an update here. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.